All right, so I am here today with two, I would say, very casual voters that are joining us today, and they're just kind of here to help us kind of get a pulse test for what the average American people think about this war. So, and we very creatively have gotten these two on here because they've been on here before. So, and it was a good episode then. So, we're looking forward to this one. So, let's just recap really quick. So, we're, less than 35 days into this war at the time of the recording. Iran's Navy and Air Force seem to be pretty well diminished. We don't know to the extent that their missile program is diminished. They did shoot down two American planes today in Iranian airspace. They seem to be fucking with oil tankers, and they basically are holding the entire world oil economy hostage, or at least collecting a toll, right? So I just kind of wanted to pick your guys' brain. I mean, what do you guys think so far? Because this has been much harder, I think, than anticipated. Like, we've lost over a dozen troops have died, and over probably 100 or 200 have been wounded. And although most of the wounded, it's not very major injuries for most of them. I mean, still, like, that's not good, right? So I don't know. Where do you both stand, like, right now? Like, was this a good idea? Are we in a good spot? Like, what do you think?
I don't think we should have ever started this war, honestly. And if we were, I was hoping if we did start it, we would have a better game plan than just winging it. From what it looks like, is what they're doing. There's because everything that could have went wrong has apparently gone wrong, and it's just been a whole mess from start to current.
Kind of a clusterfuck is your takeaway so far, then, right?
Oh yeah, yeah, oh
Okay.
yeah.
Garrett, what about you?
Well, so I think this was a long-awaited war that I frankly support. I'm all for getting the Ayatollah out of leadership in Iran. They've caused nothing but problems in the entire Middle East for 40, 50 years. Um, so I'm totally behind the actual war. Um, as far as like where we're at now, I don't think it's as bad as Nick's saying. So I don't think this has been a total clusterfuck. I mean, we've basically since I'm going to say week one, maybe week two, have had complete dominion over Iranian airspace. I know you mentioned the two aircraft were taken down, but over considering how many bombing raids and we've flown over Iran in the past 35 days, like that is statistically just negligible, right? Um, I do wish this would have been managed better, specifically the Strait of Hormuz situation. I'm kind of someone who always gives at least the administration that I trust the benefit of the doubt, right? And there doesn't seem to be any kind of concrete plan as to how we're going to secure the Strait of Hormuz, because bombing raids are clearly not working, right? If the answer was bombs, we would have this would have been done with inside of 2 weeks. Somehow they're still exercising enough power uh, to be able to control this. I think like the actual travel lane is only a couple miles wide of the Strait of Hormuz.
Right,
So
but to be fair, they control the entire Persian Gulf, the Gulf of Oman, and then all the way like they struck deep into the Indian Ocean. So it's much bigger than just the strait. Actually, they haven't, if you can believe it, they actually haven't fired inside the strait. Everything's been either in the Persian Gulf, in the Gulf of Oman, and then in the Indian Ocean. So, which is
well, see
crazy. Their range is
that's
much bigger.
right. Well, and so we did find that out through the course of this war, right? So Iran was supposed to have like a limit on its ballistic missile programs. It clearly did not abide by that limit.
And so I was
Um,
going to tell the Iranians that.
well, they did. They knew that. Like it was. They knew they weren't supposed to. But now it's been like it's been revealed that they have missiles now that are capable of reaching Europe, right? And whether they got them from Russia or the designs from Russia or whatever, or China. But that's really my big bugaboo right now because the oil markets are the problem, right? The oil markets are what's driving everybody kind of up a wall. At least it's the talking point, right? Um, and I don't I don't see a concrete plan to fix that in the immediate future. And I really don't want to see this conflict last more than 60 to 90 days. Like, and not,
Well,
frankly, 90 days is pushing it.
Before we
Like,
get into the quagmire of the current state of the war, I just want to touch back on what you said because you said that you were all in on this war and you were all in on regime change.
yes.
Why? Why? So,
Because the Ayatollah for the past 50 years has caused nothing but grief in the Middle East. I mean, so for not
Eh,
just for
right.
specifically the U.S., but also, I mean, so obviously Israel and its neighbors. Like right now, the major disruption to peace in the Middle East and the rest of these countries signing on the Abraham Accords is one, the like kind of ethereal agreement to a Palestinian state, and then Iran. Like, so
Well,
that's why God, who is it? Is it the Sauds? The Sauds have been considering signing the Abraham Accords since their inception, but they didn't want to because of Iran and because of the Palestinian state question.
right, but also I just want to touch back because I don't necessarily agree with you said that they were the ones given the Middle East like instability and grief, right? Because
I mean, so
it
it's
wasn't
it's from the
them that destabilized Syria, right? It wasn't them that invaded Afghanistan. It wasn't them that overthrew a government in Iraq, right? Like
right. So
that killed
but
millions.
who's funding all these terror proxies that do
The
run
United
like basically
States.
run the government in Yemen? Like, no, who funds the Houthis?
Yeah, so Iran. Yeah, well, I'm not disputing their proxies, but like
Yeah,
I mean,
that's what I just said though, and
but
you
like
said no,
we
the U.S.
founded ISIS. We founded
and Al Qaeda.
the Taliban, right? Like, I think that I mean, if you're talking about like who's the number one cause of problems in the Middle East, I feel like you got to. Iran hasn't had an official war since the 80s, and it was a war that we made Iraq start. Like we funded the Iraqis to fight Iran. You know, like it's not like they've been causing most of the strife, right? They just fund their proxies, right? Which is, I guess, don't get me wrong, like that's not good, and we should oppose that. But I don't feel like that means that we have to spend billions of
But
dollars to overthrow a regime.
yeah, but opposition that's only like words is not opposition, right? Like if you just say like, well, that's bad, but then don't do anything about it, you're kind of just a cuck. Like
So
because
I mean,
that's what the Europeans are doing right now. Like they're saying, oh well, what Iran's doing is bad, but we're really not going to help. You're just a dick. Like I don't know what to tell you. Like
in regards to what? Okay.
imagine in 1860, and you're just like, man, slavery's really bad, but you know, I really don't want to get up off my couch. Like you just, you know,
I mean,
that's just
kind of, but like here's the no, Europe is also saying that like this wasn't none of this stuff was a problem 6, 7 weeks ago when the war wasn't going on, right? So like we started a problem and now Trump is throwing his hands up in the air and is like, Europe, you're the ones that's getting a chunk of this oil anyways. Why don't you guys fix it? And Europe is like, well, we didn't cause the problem, right? Like that's not really fair, right? Like we cause a problem and now what? We're just supposed to let them solve it.
right. So how many of the European countries objected when Iran like murdered, what was it, like 40,000 protesters in the street? Like how many of them were like, this is terrible and they shouldn't do that?
I think all of them were like,
Yeah.
that's
Okay,
awful.
okay. So like again, if you're gonna say something's terrible, but then you're not gonna do anything about it, you're just a cuck. Like I don't know. That's my opinion personally. Like I said, if
If
you've got
if that's how the world operated, we would be in a global war 24/7. What are we talking about?
yeah, because people are terrible. Like so I understand. Like so why aren't we at war with China for how they treat the Uyghurs? Why aren't we at war with North Korea for starving its own citizens?
And,
Like I
and
understand that you have to choose the battles you're going to fight, but
well,
this was really a fight that Trump's been kind of at since the 80s. Like Trump has been sick of Iran's bullshit for a while, like even like before he was president, right? Like we can all acknowledge that, correct?
Yeah, but he's never been pro a war with them. He actually campaigned like when he was
no
for
new wars.
president on no new wars, and he even made fun of Obama. He said Obama is going to go to war with Iran because he's incapable of negotiating. And if only like that was just the complete polar opposite of what it was because Obama
Well,
was of
so I
course the
think
one
that
that got the nuclear deal and Trump was the one that was incapable of getting a deal, so he had to do regime change.
So I think that speaks to like so presidents once you get into the office, we've talked about this before on podcasts, but the things you say on campaign, once you become president, you get information you didn't have. So he obviously couldn't negotiate a deal that he found agreeable, at least, and was like, okay, well, if they're going to be this, and the bottom line is not everyone's motivated by money. A lot of his Middle Eastern deals have been motivated by these Middle Eastern countries opening up to world economics and basically saying, hey, y'all gonna make a fuck ton of money, right? That's what he did with this. Was it Syria or was it the Sauds again? The ones that gave him a jet.
Oh, that was the
Qatar.
Qataris. Qataris.
No, okay,
Yeah,
then it's not that one. No, this was a bigger Middle Eastern country.
definitely not the Sods. Sods aren't hurting for
Well,
money.
it's actually funny that you mentioned Syria because like you talked about uh earlier about how we were becoming, like Iran's this big boogeyman. He invited the current president of Syria to the White House, and that's a former member of Al Qaeda, a
Yep.
member in ISIS who's killed American servicemen. He's literally, there's footage of him holding out beheaded Christians on television, and Trump invited him to the White House. But you're saying that what, these Ayatollahs were so radical that we couldn't
Well,
make a deal with them? Like, I don't understand.
so he did try to make a deal with Iran. Um, and then as far as like the guy from Syria, he's the new guy in power, right? They just had a
Mm.
coup a few months ago.
Right.
Yeah, so he apparently is just trying to make a deal with them. Like not agreeable people, but we make deals with unagreeable people all the time. It's just a matter of whether or not President Trump finds those deals agreeable for the United States, right?
I mean,
So like
go ahead. Sorry.
That's
the
fucking
control of
wild take.
well, I don't think that's a wild take. I think every president since I mean, I don't know,
Right.
fucking
But here's
ever,
here's my
like
thing
has
is like
made
we've
deals
had,
with unagreeable leaders, right?
but we
Yeah,
had a
but
deal, is what I'm.
Yeah, and Trump didn't like it. Whether or not you, I mean, if you liked it, great, but he didn't, and he was the guy who got to say, "No, I don't like it anymore."
Right. But then he also
Like,
caused the clusterfuck that is right now. Right. So like he was incapable of
see, I
getting a
don't think
new
it's a
deal.
clusterfuck. I don't think it's a clusterfuck.
Okay, well then
Like,
maybe we can get into that. But like, why do you think it's not? Sorry, go ahead, Nick. Go ahead, Nick.
I say before we get let's kind of go back to Europe real quick. And I mean, let's be honest. Europe's got bigger problems than Iran right now. They have Russia next door causing stuff with Ukraine. Like, no offense, but if I have a problem in my own backyard versus a problem two neighborhoods down, I'm going to focus on the problem in my own backyard more.
well, so the problem with Iran controlling the Strait of Hormuz and also having missiles that could reach Europe is a problem in their own backyard. Like,
Yeah, but
the world has shrunk immensely.
no, the world's been the same size. It's just I don't think we give Iran enough credit. I mean, these like me and Wyatt were talking before. Like these are Persians. These are incredibly smart people, right? And they're not just going to attack Europe if Europe's not attacking. They're not going to do. They're not going to do that. That makes no sense. Why make more enemies than you already got? Makes no tactical sense. Like Europe is focused on Russia and Ukraine right now. They're focused on that war. There is no reason for them to attack the European powers and bring literally
Well,
half the world
the
on.
goal of that little map that Benjamin Netanyahu is showing, where it's like, oh, they have missiles that can reach Paris and Berlin and da 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 da. The whole reason of that is he's trying to get, you know, military assets from Europe to help, right? Like
Right.
that's
Well,
that's
so the
why
again,
it's
the Europeans were under the assumption that they were safe, that Iran did not have missiles capable of reaching
well, they
Europe.
they
So
were
it's a
safe
fear
before
tactic,
this.
right?
They were safe before this war started. Now their assets are not safe. Whether they're tanker assets, whether they're military bases or military vessels, like now they're at risk. Versus 6 weeks ago, they were not at risk. Right? I mean,
Mm-hmm.
does that make sense? Right? Because like before the war started, there was a 0% chance or a near 0% chance that Iran was going to have the balls to do anything to Europe, right? Like, I mean, that's just, I feel like that's just calling balls and strikes. Like, there was virtually no chance of that happening. But
Probably not.
yeah,
Right. Like you're not going to attack NATO.
right. And look, let's just think about this, right? So, like, why are we even fighting this war? Because you said you wanted regime change, right? But you would concede that, like, we haven't really had regime change, right? Like, it's still the Ayatollah's family.
Yeah, I mean, so the guy in charge, who's apparently in charge, is not. So we had a leaked phone call too from like the president of Iran, who's just like basically a figurehead, and the commander of the IRGC. It's weird to me to say that you have Ayatollah Khamenei's son running the IRGC, running the government, but he's not part and parcel to that phone call, given the context of what they were talking about. So I do think the Ayatollah's family's been eliminated. The question now is, does the IRGC remain in charge, or does something more agreeable to Western power come in?
Well, I don't understand why we would expect. So here's the thing, there is a power struggle in Iran, just like there is between Democrats and Republicans and liberals and conservatives. In Iran, it is between the IRGC and the clerics. So the clerics are like the more like, hey, we need to do diplomacy. We need to figure out a way to coexist, with our Gulf partners, and then the U.S. and Israel, to a lesser extent, Israel. And then the IRGC is like, listen, we have been fighting the Americans our entire lives for 40 years. So they're the hardliners, right? And you have, assuming we haven't killed the people, and I mean literally killed the people that are like, let's do diplomacy, then all that's left is the hardliners. So,
And so I would trust U.S. intelligence on this, like, because it's the CIA, right? And they've like just because like we have successfully targeted all of the people that we've killed in very well executed precision strikes. If we have the intel to do perform those strikes, I'm going to say we have the intel to know whether or not they were hardliners or
Oh
well,
well,
you're right,
Israel
but that's the
killed a
point. They're
negotiator.
Yeah, that's the point I'm telling you, Garrett, is we're choosing to kill the people who are trying to negotiate. So Steve Witkoff is Trump's like right-hand man, and Jared Kushner, obviously his son-in-law, that's who's leading the peace negotiations. Trump even said it himself.
But we're dealing with the man who I believe is the most respected and the leader. It's a little tough. We've wiped out everybody.
Mr. President,
Again.
Mr. President, I know you've deployed.
Because I don't want him to be killed. Okay? I don't want him to be killed.
Trump said that like I we're negotiating, and they're like, with who? And he's like, well, I'd love to tell you his name, but they'll kill him. And he's not talking about us. He's talking about Israel. Israel will kill them because Israel does not want peace. Israel does not, and this is my thing too, and maybe we can stay on this. I think that we have different strategic goals than Israel. Do you guys agree or disagree?
100%.
Oh,
Okay.
100%.
So let me. Okay. Well, I'm good. I'm actually shocked that we're because our goal is not necessarily regime change, right? I mean, some people may want that, but it should just be like we want stability, right? Like that should be one of our big ones.
Right.
And
So to me, I say regime change because I think only regime change could bring stability. Now, if Ayatollah Khamenei's son was going to come in and be like, "Hey, look, I'm going to negotiate peace. The IRGC remains in control, and we will, like, I will be the head of them, and we're going to stop with all our nonsense."
now
Right?
see, now see,
Then that would be totally agreeable to me. Like
but I
an
don't.
Ayatollah, just because it's an Ayatollah or just because it's the IRGC, I know people of different like just because you're a Republican doesn't mean you're pro-life, right? So just because you're part of the IRGC doesn't mean you hate the West. And maybe in Iran it does, but I'm open-minded to that.
Well, I don't know why you would think that the old regime couldn't get like it. All intelligence points to the fact that the Ayatollah was the lone voice of reason that demanded stability, demanded peace. He just had certain things he wasn't going to compromise on. For example, like, we shifted our red line. Our red line for decades was no nuclear bomb, right? And now, like, Trump shifted it to no enrichment. And once he shifted it, the Iranians were like, no, we're not going to be the one country on the planet that gave up their right to enrich uranium. It's our right under the UN charter that we signed, that you signed, that everybody fucking signed but Israel, right? He's like, we're not going to give that up. Why would we? And Trump was like, well, that's not enough. And so we killed him. And I'm like, well, and here's also I highlighted Israel's different strategic goals because they are less concerned with the clusterfuck that is going on right now. They don't care if this causes economic crisis across the globe. They don't care if this causes a migrant crisis in Europe. They don't care if this causes blowback terrorism, which it already has. It already did in Texas, right? There was a shooting in Texas. It was
Yeah, well,
blowback
someone
terrorism
ran
because of
into
this.
there was a oh god, the ones that are up north in Lebanon. It's not the Houthis, Hezbollah.
Hezbollah,
There
Hezbollah.
was a Hezbollah guy in Midwestern state that ran his car into a temple and started shooting people.
Yeah, I mean, it's just what are they, like Israel. It doesn't care about any of that, right? Like they just want Iran totally defeated, so that way they can't fund their proxies and they can't fuck with Israel anymore because Israel wants to be the regional superpower. And but
Right.
they can't be without our help. Like it just like I don't know why we're letting them tell us what this situation's going to be.
I don't know that Israel becomes the regional superpower after Iran. Like, let's just say Iran's toppled, right? I don't. I seriously don't know that Israel becomes
The only one they're
the
even
regional
competing with
superpower.
after the only one they're even competing with at that point is Egypt and Turkey. Like
Oh,
and
what
it's
the thoughts?
huh? They don't have a military. We're
But they have the
we're
money.
we're we're their military, so they're not going to go to war with Israel because we give them all their money.
Oh, that's fair.
You know what I mean? Same with all the Gulf countries. Like that's the reason everyone's like, "Well, why don't the Gulf countries have a military?" And it's like we're their
They don't.
military. Yeah, like we're
After Saddam, all of them just fucking nope.
well, no, no, no. Well,
Well, so
so
I guess that makes sense because like they know like okay, the U.S. is going to have to protect us because the U.S. wants our oil,
yeah, well, and
right?
here's the thing too. So we make them trade their oil. So like let's say Qatar is selling oil to Britain, right? That transaction has to be done in US dollar, which
Yeah,
strengthens the
the U.S.
dollar.
dollar is the yeah.
Right. It's called the petrodollar. It's not like an actual currency, but that's the name of the process. And the reason that it's good for us is it inflates the value of the dollar, and they like it because they get to reinvest the dollar into US the stock market, right? And they also get security guarantees. But like I guess my question now is like, well, how are those security guarantees right now? Like they're not very good right now, you know?
Yeah, well, so Iran's definitely like they're just kind of lashing out at everybody in the region. So they're threatening like a mutually assured destruction kind of thing. With the Strait of Hormuz control and like they're bombing because like they've threatened to bomb like water desalination plants. Which if you bomb water desalination plants in the Middle East, you will have a migrant crisis, the likes of which we probably have never seen.
Yeah,
Because the Middle East is entirely uninhabitable. Um, but for the desalination of water, right?
man,
Like
I got some news for you. We do have a country in the Middle East bombing water salination plants, and
uh,
they've been doing it for a while.
that's super fucked. Like I'm not like that's by definition a war crime. Like I'm not. It's like you can make arguments at least like if you're bombing like steel factories, right? I can see the argument that this steel is used in munitions manufacturing. Though honestly, that logic can carry out to all different kinds of things. Well, I bombed the power plant because it powers munitions building. I
Factories,
what's the
factories,
word?
factories.
Fabrication. Yeah. Like really, it carries on everywhere. But like desalination plants, like motherfucker, everyone needs water. Like
Yeah. Well, I agree. So let's talk about where we are now, right? So, I mean, the war is like I mean, it's not just me. Like, I don't know if you guys know who Joe Kent is, but he's the he was the director of national counterterrorism. So he was the leading guy for making sure that our counterterrorism was handled. And he was a big Trump guy, got nominated, and he resigned over this war. And he's actually the
Yep.
first guy and the highest ranking U.S. official to resign as a result of a war. We didn't even have anyone resign over Vietnam, if you can believe it. And so he resigned because he knew this was going to be a clusterfuck. And
well, he's the one who came out and was saying like Iran posed no threat.
Yeah, yeah, openly said it.
and it's not just him saying that. I want to be very clear to the audience. We have 18 U.S. intelligence agencies. Every single one of them agreed that Iran was not developing a nuclear weapon. There was a fatwa, which is a Islamic religious document that said that nuclear weapons are haram. They are forbidden under Islamic law. And so all of our intelligence shows that that fatwa was holding, and there was no evidence to show that they were going against that. So, and in terms of like a threat to us, they pose no threat really. But in terms of a threat to Israel, sure, maybe they did, like clearly, right? So, but yeah, no, he basically resigned because he knows that this war is only going to escalate now because the Iranians know that we have to pay a price, whether it's the price of oil or whether it's, our troops maybe, like we've already seen a little bit of that. So, I mean, I don't know. You tell me, Nick. Nick, we'll start with you. Why do you think it's a clusterfuck? And then after you're done, Garrett, I just want to know like how you can say it's not.
Okay. So it seems we came in here with no game plan almost on what the goals really were and all that. Like Trump the other night just did a speech and he just said, "Yep, we succeeded in everything we wanted to do." And then he told us very little on what those actual successes were. The Strait of Hormuz has been gridlocked. So like the whole world oil's in a chokehold. Diesel and gas have jumped up in prices.
What is the price per gallon right now on a barrel of oil? Can anybody find out?
Yeah, it's like 111 right now is
Yeah,
the Brent. If you look up the Brent crude oil, that's what it'll take you to. The futures
yeah,
have it at like 140 though. So
yeah. If people don't know, Brent is the standard, right? Like
Yeah,
that's what people go by when they tell you a price per gallon, price per barrel of oil. They're using Brent.
yeah,
Um, Now, what was it before? It was like $80 a barrel. So it's up what $30 a barrel since the war
yeah.
started.
And 80 is kind of where you wanted to stay. Is just standard, but
It may have been even lower than that. You might check me. It may have been
I'll
because
look it up.
someone was on Fox News saying it was like $50 a barrel before the war started. Um,
I mean I could believe. I mean we had to open our reserve at one point to try to mitigate
In
gas and diesel
January,
going up.
in January, it was $60 even.
okay,
So we are now at roughly 40% increase.
yeah. Um,
Which is gonna pinch at the pump. For those of you that don't know, like if the price of crude oil goes up, even though it's a global market, right? So, um, there's some stuff we can do to kind of minimize that. Put it to you like this: there used to be 150 ships that went through the Strait of Hormuz in a day, carrying how many millions of barrels, right? And now we're down to like literally like 5 to 15. And the 5 to 15 that are going through are Iranians, right? Or the ones the Iranians are letting pass through, or they're paying a tithe. Like it's turned into a fucking turnpike where now you got to pay a toll in order
to
to.
the
So this is the
Ayatollah.
this is the thing too. They've made more money off of the toll and the sanction relief that Trump gave them. They've made 50 times what Obama gave them in the nuclear deal. So think about fucking that, right? I had to hear about that for years that Obama gave them like $3 billion and they've already received over 150, right? So make that
Here's
make
the question:
sense.
why aren't we bombing Iranian tankers? Like, if they're taking out everybody else, why is the
It's a
U.S.
good,
not striking Iranian tankers?
it's a very good
Because we don't have
question.
any real ships in the area. It's
Nick,
the
no, no,
problem.
we do. No, we got
We
three. We
have
got
we have
three.
so many ships.
We have three badass ones. We've got
Yeah,
the Lincoln, the Bush, and I can't remember the other one.
Is
Fuck.
it the Ford?
Yes,
yeah. No, is it?
yes,
It's
The
the
yes.
Ford
The
class,
Ford's the biggest aircraft. It's an aircraft carrier, so it's not really like a battleship.
But
right? The Ford is a Ford class carrier, though. It's not the name of the ship; it's the
No,
class.
it's usually it's called the USS
Gerald
Gerald
Ford.
Ford.
Yeah,
It's the
I'm
world's
thinking of the
biggest
battleship.
aircraft carrier.
But anyway,
I mean, so
But
there's a
it's
there's
three
a
ships. That's
there's
all.
a
It's a big seas. These are
there's
big gulfs.
well, no, no, no. We could do it. I want to be very clear. We could do it, but there's a reason we're not. I just wanted to. Do you guys like? What do you guys think? Because there is a very clear reason we are not bombing oil tank. Well, there's really two reasons, but one big one.
I mean, so the only is it China? It's got to be China.
Yeah, yeah.
Most of that
It's
oil
yeah.
goes to China.
Yeah, it's China, right? And we don't want to piss off China. Number two, if you bombed Iran's oil, you're only magnifying the crisis of the price of oil, you know? So It's one of those things like if you bomb their oil tankers, you're spending more than if you didn't, because Americans are going to pay more for the oil.
Oh, so why don't you just seize it?
Well, you could do. I mean, Trump will likely do that. To be honest with you, like he's tweeting about that. It's real funny. Like we're searching for a missing American in action, right? There's a pilot in the mountains of Iran right now fighting for his fucking life, and Trump is tweeting about why don't we just take the oil? Like it's if only that soldier knew that Trump had his priorities in line, right? Like it makes no sense.
Okay, so don't do that. Like I'm sure the U.S. military is making every effort to get this soldier back. Like
Right.
don't do
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
just
I'm sure.
because
I'm sure
Trump.
Trump's losing sleep over it. Yeah. Oh yeah.
Jesus
Like,
Christ.
I know my wife's completely right here. What are we talking about? Like, you think Trump's losing sleep over one
yeah. I mean,
U.S. fight? No.
yeah, it's the same guy that was like, well, listen, I don't even want to get into that. So, listen, yeah, sure, I'm sure he's crying about it, right?
He calls them suckers. He
I'm
calls
sure.
them,
Well,
calls
and he did
them
say Trump did say that he doesn't like guys who weren't captured, right? That is what Trump said about POWs. So,
Well, he said that about McCain, but that doesn't make it any more tasteful.
yeah, I was gonna say,
oh
why
yeah,
would that make it better?
yeah. The
But
purple was it? Doesn't McCain have a purple heart?
yeah, I'm
And
sure he does. He was a
like,
POW during Vietnam. But anyway, listen, like the big reason we can't confiscate their oil and shoot it down is because A, it would piss off China, and B, it would worsen the price at the pump. So we can't
All right,
do
so
that.
again, I just don't understand why we're not seizing it. Like we could reasonably seize their tankers and then just take it to Europe.
Well, even then,
Like we'll slap a U.S. flag on it and call it good.
you would have to move assets in a position to seize it. So like you're basically like the reason our ships aren't patrolling and like escorting ships through the strait is because we don't want them to shoot down our ships, right? So if we do this thing where we're, you know, taking over Iranian oil tankers, we're not even sure that it'll work, and we're risking billions of dollars of military assets. So I'm just not convinced that would. I mean, that's why they haven't done it, right? Is because, I mean, hell, it wouldn't
yeah,
be that hard to sink one of them.
this isn't Venezuela. All right, Iran's got some bite to them.
Yeah, that is true. That is true. But yeah, I mean, really, the way I see it, and this would be a good discussion. So we have really a couple of options, right? Like, what do we do? You can either, full on invade them, like Iraq style, right? Where we go in there with 500,000 troops and occupy them and, do that and lose however many thousands of soldiers. Or you can do diplomacy, which would at this point require concessions from the United States. Like Iran would ask for unreasonable things that there's no way Trump would grant, like reparations for the damages to the war, or sanction relief, or I'm trying to think what else they might ask for. Maybe like some level of enrichment, right?
Well, so they're asking for universal control of the Strait of Hormuz. Like that's one of their asks too.
Well, that's what they have right now. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
I get them wanting to keep that. They're just not going. That's just a chip that they can give away more than anything. But I guess the third option is you could literally nuke them. But I wouldn't recommend that. But I mean, I don't know. Like we don't have a lot of good options, right? Which is really why this is kind of my point. Like this war shouldn't have even happened because now we have a potential for a migrant crisis. The price of oil is out of fucking control, and there's potential for blowback terrorism here in the States. So, I mean, I'll ask again, why was this a good idea?
I don't know how you can say this at any point was a good idea.
Because so far, from my perspective, the only countries that this benefits in any way are Israel, Russia, and China. It's the only people it benefits in the entire world. And we don't even like two of those.
It's not like Iran did anything that like North Korea doesn't do on the daily, right?
Yeah.
So the Ayatollahs did shoot and murder a bunch of protesters. But that's nothing like the Sauds haven't done. That's nothing the Syrians haven't done. That's
The
nothing.
Israelis done it. Like everyone's done it.
I guess. And that's what I'm struggling with right now, right? So if it was a good idea to do it
Do
because they're
you? I'm
murdering their
just,
own people on the
I'm
street,
just,
which is I guess the same. Okay, so hang on, because we did the same thing with Venezuela too, right? Like Maduro was in there killing a bunch of people that were protesting his regime.
is that why
Mhm.
you
The
think we
Ayatollah was
went?
doing.
Is that why you think we went in to
No, 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 no.
Venezuela?
So I'm saying on paper that's why we went, right? Like he's killing a bunch of people. But now I'm starting like it's oil. Like
Son of a bitch, there it is again. George Bush.
Well, yeah, I guess.
which I also don't understand. Like so if we took out Venezuela, why haven't we been pumping just the shit out of Venezuelan oil to keep the market down? And I understand that takes time, right? Like you got to get US infrastructure into this place.
Well,
Well, yeah, well,
all
it
the
was.
big players said no.
I
Like
was gonna
Exxon,
say.
all of them, they said no.
Let me ask you
It's not good
this.
oil.
Yeah, well, it's not good oil, and it's risky as fuck because what happens when Trump's out of the White House? Right? And what happened? I mean, Venezuela is a country of, like, say what you want about Iran, they are some ideologically committed hardliners, right? But Venezuela is a bunch of corrupt fucking socialists who will do anything to the highest bidder. So, what happens when somebody comes, like, if you put $50 million into US investment in there, and then the next fucking president rolls in, says we're not fucking with Venezuela, and then your asset's worth nothing now. So no
Well,
one wants to invest in it.
or the next Venezuelan leader can come in and do what the last one did, which is just socialize the oil. Like
Yeah, which is
we're just
likely
gonna
what's going
take
to
all this
happen.
shit and spend all this money building.
Because you
Exactly.
got to think, how long is it going to take for if any of the big oil companies were actually to set up infrastructure in Venezuela? By the time they probably fucking
Oh,
get halfway
with the
through,
right amount of capital, I have every bit of faith they could have done it by now.
No,
Since the capture of
no,
You're
no,
talking you're
no.
years. We're years away. I mean,
but
you got
they
to
already
think
had
we spent.
infrastructure there to be to be producing oil, right? They already had infrastructure that was laying dormant because socialism sucks.
And
So
you
you just
think they're
Laying
come in
just
and
gonna
dormant.
you
hand it over?
Well,
You
that's
don't
what they
think they
did.
would just
No,
bomb their own
I
infrastructure?
mean, we took it, right? Like we took it, you know.
I'm saying
But
it's
even
plausible that we could
then,
be pumping Venezuelan oil right now to offset the costs of Iranian oil. But if I mean that makes sense as to why U.S. and British companies don't want to, because
Well,
again, because it's happened in Iran too. This
well,
happened.
I'm pretty
Um,
sure it's tar sand oil. Like it's meant for plastic. It's not you really. It would cost so much to make it into diesel and gas and all that. It's not worth the cost. It's kind of like the Keystone Pipeline. Like most of that was tar sand oil, which
yeah. Well, I mean,
is
let me just
fucking
concede
useless to
this.
them.
Like, would it have helped? I mean, yeah, a little bit, but you're still talking. They're holding roughly 22% of the world's supply of oil hostage, right?
right,
And that's just oil. That's not counting fertilizer.
natural gas.
That's not counting, yeah, LNG, right? That's not counting resin. That's not, which I know is like a consumer good. It's not a commodity, but still, it's important. Like, rubber comes through there, right? Like, it's a lot more comes through there. The fertilizer is especially scary, actually,
I
too.
was gonna say like we should like the long term consequences. That's why I said like 90 days, because anything longer than 90 days, and we're gonna start dealing with catastrophic domino effects here.
Yeah, well,
Like there's already like
we haven't even really felt the real pinch yet. Like the rise in the price of the barrel of oil now is in preparation for what's happening in literally like within 2 weeks.
right,
Because, like right now, it's kind of hard to explain. So because they're on oil tankers, right? They were already outside of the Gulf and Iran couldn't reach them. But they know that the supply is about to be fucked. So what happens in like 2 weeks when all the oil that was out is used up, you know? And the fucking Gulf countries aren't producing any oil right now because they can't store it. So what the
right.
fuck is going to happen? Even if this conflict ended tomorrow, we have a 4 week fucking period where we're still fucked. And again, the Israelis give zero fucks about any of this.
Yeah, they're currently in Lebanon right now.
Yeah.
God,
Well,
the
yeah.
more y'all talk, the more maybe this wasn't a good idea.
Son of a bitch.
Well, that's what I'm saying
So
because
don't get me
there's
wrong.
no
So
good ideas.
I don't think anyone, right, left, or center, thought of the catastrophic effects of a lack of fertilizer from the Strait of Hormuz. Like that was so. I think the reason we're talking about it is because we realize it's happening now. I don't think anyone predicted that as a.
Well, I gotta be
What?
honest with you.
What are you talking about?
I do gotta disagree with that because because
Is-
I I was aware of it, and I'm a fucking idiot.
Yeah, it's
So,
like it was like
you
one
know
of
what I
their
mean?
only cards they could play.
No, so control of the Strait of Hormuz. Well, I guess you could have. Okay, yeah, they should have been aware, right?
Yeah, I
Because
mean,
you could have looked at what transits the Strait of Hormuz and been like, "Hey, that's a lot of fertilizer."
yeah.
Hmm.
And well, and here's the real thing. Like Americans don't really there's not much voting on foreign policy. So like I would agree with you. Probably 90% of Americans figured out where the Strait of Hormuz was this week. You know? If they could even point to it on a map today, right? So I would agree with you there, but I'm just saying that like the people in charge definitely had to know.
Should have known.
Well,
Yeah, the people.
that's what Joe Kent was saying that he so when they did Midnight Hammer, which was whenever they bunker busted the Israeli bombs, right? They apparently there was robust debate about like should we do this, should we not? What are the pros, what are the cons? Are we going to get dragged into a bigger conflict? And then they did it and everything worked out. For this one, according to him, and again, this is a guy that was in the room, um, and he was like, they just cut us all out. Like once they started hearing that we were like, no, don't kill the Ayatollah, that's only going to make things 10 times worse. They just shut us out of the room. So that way, the only like the people giving Trump advice are not military professionals right now.
They're just yes men.
They're no, it's like Lindsey Graham and Ted Cruz, people who have no fucking idea what the fuck they're even talking about. They just want the Ayatollah dead because it'll make Israel stronger. And now we're in a situation now where I don't know how we get out of it. And again, if I'm being honest, I think Ted Cruz and Lindsey Graham are okay with it because they know that the ultimate fall guy for this is going to be Trump. And they're like, well, Trump's
Yeah.
going to be out of here in four fucking, or I guess 2 years
Well,
now
so
anyway. So who
I think
cares?
I think a lot of Republicans like closeted, obviously at this point, but want Trump to have to eat crow, right? Because otherwise, he's going to be the kingmaker in the Republican Party for the next 40 years or 20 years. He's pretty old. Um,
Yeah.
like I think they need him to eat crow so that they can usurp power themselves, right? Like I think it's a power play if that's the case. God.
Well, and it's one of those things too. Like I firmly believe that we were pushed into doing this honestly, like literally by Netanyahu. Netanyahu was like, "This is your window. They will build statues for you.
Oh
You'll be
yeah.
able to do what no other president was able to do, and that's topple the number one state sponsor of terrorism." Got in his fucking head.
Oh yeah,
And
we
then
got baited by them.
and then like
Well,
here's the reality is we're going to be the ones spending the money for this war and we're going to be the ones that are going to have to spill blood for it cuz the IDF as good as they might be for like clandestine operations and commando raids they don't have the people to occupy even Karg Island, right? Let
Oh no,
alone
they Israel already said
Iraq.
they're not sending boots on the ground. They're not sending any troops into Iran.
Well, yeah, well
So
they're
if there
set up
was,
to do it.
yeah, if there was an actual invasion of Iran, it's solely U.S. troops.
was this all like, did they just play on Trump's ego to get him in? Because now he's in too deep, right?
Yes, yeah, I'm
Yeah,
gonna sit you down
that's
for this.
yeah.
Yes,
And listen,
they
Garrett,
baited him.
I encourage you and to the audience too, just because it's so badass. Like, go listen to Joe Kent because now that he's resigned, he's been on the podcast. And again, this guy is as red blooded American as you can get. Like, he just global war on terror veteran, CIA operator, fucking Army Delta Ranger. He won like 6 Bronze Stars. I'm not even kidding. And this guy's like, listen, I fought the Iranians. I fucking hate these motherfuckers more than anyone on the planet. But going to war with them was fucking political suicide because there's no way to do it without getting fucked some way or another, you know? And again, like this guy is not, he's not like Tulsi Gabbard where she's a Democrat her whole life. Like this guy is as
Like,
hardcore conservative as it gets. And he's like, I hate these motherfuckers, but I know that war with them is the worst option. You know, because it means motherfuckers like him are gonna die. Like he lost his wife to the war on terror, and he's like, now I understand. You know?
You didn't Trump make fun of him after he were like he did a thing on Truth Social and everyone's like didn't he lose his wife to the war on terror?
Yeah. Well, Trump said he's always been soft
Yeah.
on security, and I was like, that's crazy. Like this guy has literally like been in the service, right? You know, like But yeah, I
Kind of
mean,
ironic. A draft dodger telling someone else he's been soft.
because here's the thing too, like Garrett, you're right. We could go and we could seize that Karg Island, right? Which is where uh, that's where they like
It's like
manufacture,
ninety
like
percent of their yeah, it's like ninety
yeah,
percent of their processing gets done.
yeah. But here's the problem: that island is it would base Iran would look at that and they would be like, we will roll out the red carpet because you're going to put 2,000 Marines on an island the size of I don't even know, like the city of Dallas, right? You're going to put 2,000 Marines on an island that big, where you can't just exit. There's no runway, right? So they're just going to be like shooting fish in a barrel, right? Like it
Mhm.
would, they're it's 15 miles off their coast. They'll just launch some drones from a mountain. And here's what I would say: if you're talking about, or if the president was considering like taking over an island or doing like some sort of ground invasion, he would have to be openly admitting to the world that he's using our troops as bait. Like because that's the only reason it even makes sense.
So I'm trying to think of. I'll tell you where my brain's at right now because I've been processing a lot of this information. Um, and right now, what I'm focused on is how does Trump and the United States come out ahead in this situation? Like, let's say he was baited in, right? Let's say he was baited into it. Let's say that because of his ego, he cannot take an L because we all know that's a fact. Like, old boy will
Oh yeah.
not take the fucking L.
Oh yeah.
So, how does he come out ahead? And I think the only way to come out ahead and actually say you accomplished all of your objectives is you're going to have to bomb their oil infrastructure, including Carg Island. Because I agree with Wyatt, like you can't occupy it. You can't spend that much blood and treasure occupying a foreign property that nobody, if they won't put U.S. businesses in Venezuela, they're not going to do it in Iran. The like, um,
Yeah.
uh,
So I think the problem
So
with
you're
bombing
gonna
their
have to. Like, I think that might be the only way to try to pull out a W here. But the W is gonna be stained by $200 oil prices. Like,
well, not
I don't
not
know.
only that, you're gonna
You could
piss off
probably hang on
China.
because yeah, fuck China.
That's no.
Well, you
Well, so
say that
that's
now.
China's not the problem now for me. Really, it'd be like Japan. Japan and South Korea also get a large amount of. Well, no, they don't get it from Iran though. And I mean, honestly, China's just going to have to barter more for Russian oil, which will make the Russians happy, which will piss off the Europeans, which
Well,
again,
that's
fuck them.
well, that's why the Russians are so happy about this. Like this war helps our greatest enemies, right? Because Europe's now buying Russian oil now because they don't have a fucking choice, right? They got to buy oil from somebody,
I don't.
and
Yeah, why don't they buy it from the U.S.? Trump said something about that. Like, I don't understand why they don't buy it from us.
Because
it's
all
just
of
more
ours are in the reserve.
it's just more expensive than buying it from like the transport cost just makes it worse. And plus, here's the other thing too. They were talking about Trump may have to invoke. I can't remember. I think it's called the Jones Act, and do export controls. Because here's the thing: if Americans started exporting our oil to Europe, the price of oil in America and the price of gas would shoot through the fucking roof, right? So we don't. If you're an American consumer, you don't want them to sell our or to buy our oil. You want our oil to stay here, right? But we can only be protected so much. So it's that, like I said, this is one of those areas like we're in a space where like there is no good option. Like to me, from my perspective, the good option is that Trump basically concedes some minor concessions to the Iranians and then pulls out our troops and then declares victory like he does. You know what I'm saying? Like he just basically pulls out and was like, "We got them to concede, we made them bow down, and da 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 da." Even though, like, listen, he'll say whatever he has to say, but it's like the
Is
alternative is open invasion, and I don't know
uh,
that that's going to be worth it.
didn't he already declare victory in his speech?
Well, he keeps doing that, and I really wish he wouldn't.
Well, so
But
that's also not just a Trump problem.
Really?
Like, I know we're all focused on Trump because Trump's the guy in charge right now. But like historically, just claiming war, like claiming victory, like that just things people do, like presidents do. You
yeah,
know what I'm
well,
saying?
well, I mean, I guess sure, right?
Yeah,
But
FDR just claimed victory out of nowhere.
I will say this is a different level of like what are we doing? Because like, listen, from a strategic standpoint, we're probably losing this war, right? So I and I guess let me explain why. So like Iran is now richer, right? They're definitely more in hiding, right? And they've lost a couple of military assets, but they're richer.
Okay, a couple military assets is understating it, right? Like, let's just be fair here.
It's not slowing them down on their
Well,
bombardments.
I mean,
I
you
mean,
tell
it
me, right?
significantly is. It's significant. You can look at the numbers of missiles and drones being fired from Iran on the daily basis. It's substantially down from the beginning of this conflict. Like, and I
Well,
mean,
yeah,
like,
Well,
just
yeah,
under
that's
ten
just
percent.
natural with war, right? Like
Oh yeah,
the
yeah. It's
first
totally.
wave.
It's just common knowledge that like the ammunition used in war during open conflict goes down, like by
And
choice.
no, yeah.
yes,
Well,
yes,
it's modern war.
yes,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah. That
this
is.
isn't World War II
I
where we're carpet bombing Berlin.
listen,
This
listen.
is
Let me give Trump some credit here. He has won the most meaningless battles of this war, right? Just like we did in Vietnam. Oh, so he bombed Iran's navy to smithereens. Now they don't have a single ship on the open seas, and it's like the worry wasn't the Iranian navy. This is the fucking problem, I think, with people. They go, well, we've dropped so many metric tons of TNT on the Iranians, and it's like it's not stopping the Iranians from imposing their will on the shit that matters,
Right.
right?
It's not stopping them from projecting power. Their ballistic missile program's doing that, which didn't just
yeah.
this week we hit a ballistic missile silo.
Well, we think we did, but just based off the
Yeah.
size of the
I mean,
exploit. Well, the go ahead.
they're still hitting Israel
But
like with
let
daily
me
bombardment.
let me just
It's like
let me just capture this too. So like, listen, right now our strategic goals are like a list of shit to bomb, right? And to me, that's not really a goal, right? Because there's no
it's
end
like
point. That's
it's
just
like
like a
Vietnam.
checklist. That's like a checklist, right? And we've bombed the ever living shit out of them. But Iran has serious strategic goals, which is like, which they have completed, frankly, basically all of them, which are now they have basically turned the Strait of Hormuz into a toll booth, right? And then now they're exporting oil more than they ever have before, right? Like they, from an excess
At
in oil
top
being
dollar.
produced, yeah, you know, they're getting what they want out of this.
They're getting sod rich right now. Is what happened.
I think you're going to have to destroy their oil infrastructure.
See, but even then, you're talking $200 barrel of oil, right? And you're talking right before the midterms. Like, are we even
Midterms.
sure that that's a good idea? I mean, listen, I'm
Like
not saying
So
that we
Trump,
should.
I think we're all kind of on board that Trump's probably going to lose the midterms anyway. Just forget the general ebb and flow of American politics, where you generally lose the midterms. But like this
oh,
war is pretty unpopular.
Well,
The
I'm saying,
problems, the big problems at home, which is mainly the cost of living, are only getting worse.
I
right.
mean,
Um,
I mean, they raised the drafting age to 40.
Well, and you know, you have Trump who said something about like, hey, you know, we're the United States. Like, we don't have money for health care. We don't have money for daycare. We don't have money. He's like, we have to fight all these wars. And I'm like,
Is the opposite of what he ran on.
was that the smartest thing given what you won on? I mean, he won on a couple of things, right? Like the border, which
He
you know is he's doing really well on, right? But cost of living is worse than it was even under the fucking Biden administration. Right? You know what I mean? Like,
well, I mean, so that's the thing about cost of living. When you don't actually get deflation, you progressively get 2% worse. Like,
right?
well, the only
So
thing
it's
he seems to be talking about right now is his fucking ballroom. He's fucking. I've seen him talk more about this ballroom he's trying to build than the one guy we're trying to find.
yeah,
And
because nothing connects with the actual American citizen like talking about a multi-billion-dollar privately invested ballroom.
like I would like let's just think about this for a second.
named
We have
after
that
himself.
we have a soldier in enemy territory. We don't know if he's been captured, if he's been killed, if he's alive. We have no idea. He could be fighting for his life in the Iranian hills. And Trump says we don't have money for Medicare, all this stuff. But look at this ballroom that I'm building and naming after myself. Look at that. That's what we should be
Again, the
focusing on.
ballroom is privately invested. Like whether or not you think it's a good idea, taxpayers aren't paying for it.
It doesn't matter. His focus isn't on the point. He started a war and he's
It's
saying, I'm not focused on the war. Look at this ballroom,
He did.
guys.
It's really funny. He did the same thing after Charlie Kirk died. Like some reporter asked him, they were like, hey, like, how are you holding up, like, after Charlie Kirk? And he said, oh, he was a good guy. By the way, yeah, I shit you not. He literally said, by the way, look at this ballroom. Like, isn't this going to be
It,
nice? And I'm like,
again,
that's
again,
crazy.
I get taken back to George W. Bush. It's not too long after 9/11, and he's talking to some reporters about it, and he says, "Now watch this drive," and he hits a golf ball. It's like, all right, guy, come on.
Yeah. Well, and I'm just still at the point where I'm like, how, and listen, don't get me wrong, we're about to switch to like forward looking, like what do we want to see, right? But just I just cannot believe that we never game planned for them to do any, like we completely underestimated their capabilities, I think. And like I said, don't get me wrong, they haven't killed thousands of fucking
I
servicemen
think we
yet.
I think we have also overestimated the Iranian people's willingness to revolt against the Ayatollah. Like,
Because they
so don't
hate
get me wrong.
Americans more.
Okay, let
Well,
me
so
ask you this.
no,
Let me
no,
ask you
because
this,
like
Garrett. If
When Khomeini, hang on, when Khomeini was assassinated, and like when we were taking out these IRGC leaders, there were like celebrations in the streets. Same thing as Venezuela when we took Maduro. Like there are tons of people in the country super happy about what we're doing, or at least taking out the leadership. Um, but
sure,
nobody seems willing to help.
Well,
yeah,
why would
well,
you trade one dictator for another one?
Well, so
Really?
presumably you wouldn't put another dictator in
so this
charge,
is
right?
well
Exactly, because
this is the problem, okay? Because
we would
we as
never do that.
Americans, we have the memory of goldfish, right? So like we have no idea. Like, do either of you know who Mohammed Mossadegh is or who
Yes.
Gaddafi are? Right. So like these people, Americans don't know who they are, and they have no idea that we overthrew them and helped them get killed. But like the Iranian people know that because that's their neck of the woods, just like we know about George Washington and Abraham Lincoln, right? Like these people are incredibly aware that the U.S. will come in like a bull in a china shop, fuck up your country, and then your country is basically a slave for the United States. So I completely understand why an Iranian citizen wouldn't want to overthrow their government because they know the alternative isn't even really that fucking great, right? Like, yes, there are protests and there are civil uprisings, but like right now, also too, I think you've underestimated the rally around the flag moment that Iran is also having. I think that what you're seeing too, those protests, I feel like those are mostly CIA operations. To be honest with you, I feel like
Yes.
they're not organic, you know. But I mean, just think of it like this. Well, how would you feel if Biden was president and China would have airstriked the White House and taken him out?
Oh
Like,
yeah, we'd have to glass floor China.
you would be like, listen, I don't like the fucking guy, right? But
And I
that's
hate
my
the I hate
you have
that's my
made
president.
you have went to war with my country, you know? You have killed my or even better, well, it's hard. Imagine if our country was full of Catholics and they had bombed the Pope, right? Do you think that our response would have been like, "Oh, well now this is our chance." You know, like no, of course not. Like there's a rally around the flag moment, and it doesn't help that they cut off the internet too. So like they're controlling what the citizens are hearing and seeing, and it also
Yeah,
doesn't help that we're bombing girls' schools too.
yeah.
You know, like that doesn't help. I don't know. I don't know how we can still be like, well, why don't they just greet us as liberators? It's like, well, because we're not, you know.
What
So
is
again, like I understand. Like I think the U.S.'s role here, as far as like regime change, should probably just be done, right? Like we've killed the top people in this. Like I guess there's still that one IRGC hardliner, that general who's talking to the president. Like I said, there was a leaked conversation. We have the text from it or the vocals from it, but like it come to me, it comes down to like, look, we've done what we can. If you didn't like your government, you're going to have to overthrow it. We're not going to send 500,000 troops in to take over your country just to fucking lose it again as soon as we leave because y'all are chicken shit. Like that's what happened in Afghanistan and
Right.
Iraq when we
I was
pulled
gonna
out.
say.
Like we spent decades, billions, has to be billions of dollars arming,
Oh yeah,
training these people, and as soon as we pulled out, they were like, no thanks.
yeah.
Like if you want to change it, we've done what we can. Get in there and change it. Otherwise, quit bitching. Like that's my outlook on as far as like a help Iranian people against their government thing. right? Like, so we live in Venezuela, right? Venezuela is a great example of what I would have liked to see if that was actually the goal. We came in, we grabbed Maduro, we got the fuck out. Now, if you want to do something different about it, guess you'd better, better do something, guy. Like,
Yeah. I mean, Nick, what do you want to see here, man? Like look going forward, like ignoring like we are where we are and that sucks, but like what do you want to see here?
We're gonna have to come to some deal. I don't. If we send boots on the ground, it's gonna be. I mean, it's just gonna be another 20-year conflict like Afghanistan and Iraq and all that.
I was
We
gonna say, but like, I think we could probably all agree that boots on the ground should not, like, that's not something we want to see, right? Can we all say
yeah
that?
yeah.
Yeah, oh yeah. Now I am skeptical on it because I don't know if y'all saw this, but Trump just asked today, as a matter of fact, he asked for a $1.5 trillion military budget next year. So
Mhm.
that's
That's
roughly
only point. So that's 0.3 trillion more than last year, right?
no, it's 40% more. So like we're probably
Oh damn.
we're gonna spend around 850 to 900 billion this year. So you're talking, you know, I guess what would that be 35%? I'm doing the math in my head, but it's a significant jump. It's almost
Yeah,
double.
it's got to be for replenishment too, right? Like, because we are talking, we have spent a lot of money already because like there's like $200,000 missiles shot used to shoot down like a $50 drone or some absurd number like that, right? Like,
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
we've probably spent close to 50 billion, which not that anyone cares, that is enough for free college for a year. And he just asked for another 200
why,
billion, which
why,
could do
why?
free
You're
college
right.
for
Nobody
4
cares.
years. Well, I'm just saying like think about what you would want to do with 400 or 200 billion dollars, right? That could be
I would,
anything. That could be
I would
like let
buy
me ask you
Canada.
this.
You could
Let me
make your average citizen lives a lot better.
let me ask you
No,
this.
no, I would
Let me
buy
ask you
Canada.
this.
Move
Would
away
you
from that.
rather are our roads like so good that we can afford to just burn $200 billion? Right? Are our kids so educated? Are our farmers just rolling in the dough to where we can just do shit like this and it not even because like our lives aren't getting better from this war, right? And they said what they want to cut. I have a list of shit, but I'd rather not even get into that. That's for a future podcast. But
Yeah,
it's stupid shit. It's fucking we're gonna cut education, farmer research, cancer research, roads and bridge funding, FEMA funding, and I'm like, what in the fuck are our priorities where we're cutting that to fund this?
But why? But why? Look at that ballroom they're building.
Look at the Dow, you know?
Look at the Dow.
Look at the fucking Dow, you know? That's what okay, well, I asked Nick what he wanted. Nick, did you feel like you got to say what you wanted to see, or did you want to get before we go to Garrett? What did
Yeah,
Garrett want to
yeah.
say?
yeah. I kind of interrupted him, so
So yeah, we're like I'm agreeing with Wyatt. We're definitely gonna have to capitulate on a few things. Um, gonna have to let Iran enrich some uranium. I feel like we're gonna come out with egg on our face. Is the only way I can see us without escalation, without full on invasion.
See, I think
Or
if that's what you want to see, you're gonna have to wait till 2028 because I don't even
yeah, I
know if
mean
Trump is capable of that. But that's just my
he's not.
opinion on that.
He's not, and that's the problem.
I don't know. So I have to feel like at some point Trump would realize if this is a bad investment, that it is a bad investment, right?
Why he's a sitting duck president. Like he doesn't have to worry about this. The
No,
consequences
he doesn't have
afterwards.
to. No,
He's made his
he cares
money.
about his
He's made his
image.
money as president.
He
Like
cares about his image, and like just so as somebody like he doesn't. You don't get to be as wealthy as he is without actually knowing when to cut a loss, right?
Well,
yeah, you just
I
scam
would agree
your
with
people.
you. I would agree with you, but I think he's also being controlled by who he's like giving him information right now. You
That's
know?
true. I mean, so is the argument he's being lied to, or is he making bad decisions? Like that's
Well, it's both, right?
It's
Like
both.
he is
Both.
being I think he is being lied into a war because here was the first lie. The first lie was that enrichment equals a nuclear bomb. Like Trump is not a physicist and he's not aware of how unaware he is. Enriching uranium is the first step in like literally a 27-step process in making a nuclear bomb. And they hadn't
right.
even
But they already
completed
had the
one.
ballistic missiles to attach the bomb to. So how many steps
No,
does
they
that
don't.
remove?
No, they don't. No, they don't. It's a different capability, right? Like it's they don't even have. We don't even think that they have the ballistic missile program able to like attach a nuclear warhead on because nuclear warheads like are heavy as fuck,
Well, it's
evidently.
very dense material.
Exactly. So
Yeah,
like we and at least we have no intelligence of that, right? Like we have no intelligence that they even completed the first
but
step.
but the
But
Israelis
do
tell
they
us since the '90s they're 2 weeks away from having a nuke. They're from 1992.
But
They're
then you,
always 2 months away,
but
conveniently.
let's just, I don't want to fight too much on that one. All right. But they're also telling him that this war is incredibly popular, which it's not, right? And this war is going incredibly well, which it's not.
Yeah, I think what we had was it Tulsi Gabbard at the time who said like not to go to Starbucks because of gas prices. Don't make extra trips.
That could have been Scott
Oh.
Besson, I think. He was
So, like,
like, listen,
It's
just as
like
a note, to the audience, you shouldn't go to fucking Starbucks either. Anyway, drink Folgers like a man, or get out.
I agree. Drink Folgers. Drink black coffee. Be a man.
That's right.
I don't drink coffee, so I guess I'll agree. I'll say, well, yeah, we'll all agree on this one.
You
But
too can get the fuck
But
out.
they basically told people stop driving. It's like we built a whole infrastructure around driving.
Yeah, I
Like
think like the average commute to work is like 20 minutes at least one way. So
I don't even think it's I think it's like an hour. I think the national average for a commute to work is an hour.
that's
If
nuts.
not over. Like
It can't be over an hour. There's no fucking way people are driving one way more than an hour to
I
work.
was
But
gonna
that's a
say, what,
different.
what would you get done? Jesus. But okay, well, Nick, is there anything else? Sorry, I know I keep cutting you off, and I'm terrible about it. But what
no, that's basically my thing. It's like, listen, at the end of the day, we're gonna have to come out of here with egg on our face, and that's the only way I feel like we can get out of this without escalation.
I gotcha. All right, Garrett, what do you want to see for the next 90 days, or
I
just
want to see.
to the end of this whatever that time frame is?
So I want to see an end to this conflict, whether they need egg on, like whether the Trump administration gets egg on their face and we have to capitulate. I want to see an end to this conflict within the next, I'm going to say 45 days. I'm going to split the difference between 30 and 60. Um, I really don't think 90 days is, I think 90 days would be absolutely terrible. Frankly, you know what? I'm going to say 30 days. 30 days, get it fucking done. Whatever you say you're going to try to get done, whatever you're blah, 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 fucking get it done. I don't care. Be over. Okay. And that's just because if you miss like the absolute catastrophic domino effect that will come just from the fertilizer, because people, so I farm. People don't understand how absolutely critical that is in the modern farming industry. And yes, you could do that's a whole different thing. Right now, it is super critical that farmers be able to fertilize their fields. And if you're talking increased gas prices, increased fertilizer or non-existent fertilizer, and just general goods production and transport because of gas prices, you are looking at an inflation rate in food alone that is going to be dire.
If I may for a second, because I work in like the transportation industry, right? Like I work for freight trucks is what I do. We've already seen like just truck parts jump prices $100 on some of this stuff just overnight.
Could you
Just
give me a percentage? Just like, so is it 20%, 100%? Like, is it double the price that it used to be?
yeah, it's probably the average is double the price on most of the parts,
See, that's
especially
absolutely fucking nuts.
Well,
especially again
gas
like oil and like oil filters, fuel filters, stuff like that, and then some of
national.
your air stuff like it's
Listen,
going through the
just to tell you guys how bad it is already, gas for in America is already up 33%, and that's without the supply pinch even hitting yet, right? So we went
yeah.
from $3 and some change to over 4 now nationally, not in just.
I'm sure like the audience has seen that at the pump too, because I know I for
Exactly.
sure
Yes.
noticed.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
was gonna say I noticed. I feel
And
that.
It's
Yes.
anywhere from like $15 to $20 more expensive to fill up my
yeah,
vehicle.
Exactly.
freight charges are going up, so
And
it costs a
and
lot more to ship things
and
now.
I
It's
want you to keep in mind that's in America where we're largely like even for fertilizer and oil, we're largely shielded from most of the price increases because a lot of that stuff we do domestically,
Right.
right? But it's a global economy, right? So like we feel a little bit, but like our people in Europe are like they're already rationing AC. Like I don't think
Now,
people are
People in Japan are their gas lines in Japan.
yes, no, literally it's insane. And the South Korean minister is talking about like we're gonna have to do some concessions with the North Koreans for energy. Like this is unheard of because the supply line was cut off so unexpectedly. They're like, we don't have a game plan. And fuck, you know? So
Yeah, that's
I
that's
mean,
the
so
thing.
I
We
guess that
told no one we were doing this. Is the
well, you
problem?
could
We
you
warned none
couldn't
of our
tell anyone.
allies.
You couldn't tell anyone. I mean, fuck you.
yeah, no.
You know, you're putting too many. I mean, listen,
You
there
tell
was
the
no way they were going to
allies.
tell anyone. There was no way we were going to tell anyone. You know, but
I so I want to see an end to this in 45 days. Just because or 30 days, just because the repercussions after that are absolutely catastrophic. And maybe not for the US, but you're looking at I mean a potential starvation event of millions of people. Um, just because of food prices and food shortages. Um, I mean, that's kind of it. That's really what I just want it to be done with. I want it to be done and over. Like, whether you have to say, man, I really took that fucking L, or like, hey, we accomplished all our goals. I don't care. I don't have time to care. I don't have, like, you've got to get back to focusing on American priorities, which right now needs to be deflation. I hate economists saying, like, deflation is bad for the economy. You have got to start getting prices down for goods. Like,
yeah, and those same economists were the people that said that like, well, unemployment needs to be at 6%. They acted like nature only allowed. They said if it goes below 6%, the sky is gonna fall out, right? You know what I mean? And then what happened whenever it went below 6%? It's like, oh, we're just fucking fine, right?
well, so
So
we've
I
seen
think
inflation.
target inflation should be zero in my like it
Target
shouldn't be
inflation should
2%.
be zero.
Yes, yes.
And that's a modern, like, since the federal bank, kind of thing, that inflation and unemployment numbers need to be at certain things. But we've seen rapid onset deflationary cycles throughout U.S. history. Like, so part of the reason that our parents in like the 80s and 90s and early 2000s before the housing market bubble lived so well is because the computer revolution brought out rapid onset deflation in cost of living. Prior to that, there was obviously the Industrial Revolution, and there have been periods where like advancements in technology rapidly bring down the cost of things. And guess what? Everyone's just fucking happier. Nobody, nobody's crying about it. We're all just fucking happy. Like, oh, my dollar goes farther. Yay! Like,
Oh,
Yeah.
oh no.
yeah. Oh no, my steak is too juicy and my lobster too buttery.
Yeah, people
Um,
complain about the weirdest things.
it's like, goddamn, I am so sick of
I have
having
I
lobster
have
every night for dinner, Nick.
I
I
have too much
cannot
food in
handle it
my
anymore.
fridge. This is a problem.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
But
anyway, all that to say, like, I want to see an end to this conflict. That's where I want to see it. Like, that is my ultimate thing. Like, I want to see this over and done with in the next 30 days.
yeah,
Like, I
I
think I think we're playing too high stakes a game here with the globe, and I think just the ramifications of not doing so is going to be terrible. And if he has to come out and say like, okay, there's a tithe on the Strait of Hormuz now or whatever, like that's going to be his L, and that's going to be his fault for letting his ego trick him into this or whoever. And like if you got to cut ties with whoever you got to cut ties with, do it. Um, if you were lied to or you were fed misinformation or whatever, but you have got to like this has got to end, and I mean preferably yesterday.
yeah, I sorry, what else you got before I move on to mine? But I didn't want to cut you off. I wanted to make sure that you were
That's pretty
done.
much it, man. Like I just want it, I need it done. Like I need it
Yeah.
over and done with. Like that is really me, and I don't care who's the fucking loser here, or because if it doesn't, everyone's the loser. If
Yeah.
it doesn't, everyone who makes sub $300,000 a year is a fucking loser in this.
Yeah. 100%. I am very cynical here. I do not see an end in sight because of basically everyone that is opposing this war or promoting an end to it. Like Pete Hegseth fired 3 generals today for their opposition to the war.
Oh fuck,
So that
Mhm.
tells
that's not a
me
good
Ranking
sign.
highly
that well,
decorated.
one was the Army Joint Chief. So
Mhm.
like he's very high rank. And Pete Hegseth said that there was some shit about DEI, like they were promoting too. I swear to God, promoting too many women. And I was like, are you fucking like really? And then the general comes out and it's like, yeah, well, it's because I opposed fucking ground troops, you know. And I I would love to see. Here's what, in a dream world, what would happen is, yeah, I think Iran has it pretty well figured out right now that we are very serious about using force. I think they need to know that we're also very serious about diplomacy, which right now they have no reason to trust us. We backed out of the current deal in 20, the nuclear deal, right? And then we killed Soleimani after calling him for a peace trip. And then Israel has killed negotiators, and we did by accident, to be fair, but we did kill a couple as well. And we have to basically, I think this is my opinion, we have to take things away from the Israelis because they're not going to trust us until we, because Israel does not give a fuck about any of the stuff we've mentioned. Israel wants this government toppled. They want them in civil war. They don't give a fuck what the consequences are. And we have to tell Israel, no, we are the fucking leader in this partnership. Okay. You are not allowed to strike Iran. And I don't think it's enough to tell them that. I think we have to take shit away. Like, I wouldn't fund their offensive capabilities anymore. Like, I just, because when Israel wants to go do bombing raids in Tehran, their air force isn't built enough to where they can actually defend their homeland. So like when they go in, we have to backfill and defend their airspace. I would say we're not doing that shit anymore. You can do whatever you want on fucking Lebanon and Syria because that's your home border, whatever, right? But what goes on inside Iran's borders, and only then will the Iranians take us seriously. And then honestly, like they're gonna have to be some concessions. Like we're gonna have to. I wouldn't want them to hold the Strait of Hormuz hostage. Still, I'd be like that shit's got to end. But in return, we'll give you sanction relief. You could sell your oil to whoever, you know. But
Which helps everybody and hurts China, right?
yeah, because then
Yeah.
China's got to compete for more oil on the world market. You know
Yeah,
what I
they've
mean?
got to
So
pay a higher price because right
yeah,
now they're getting Iranian and Russian oil at a super big discount, and because you're influxing the amount of oil on the general global market, everyone pays less for oil.
yeah, and honestly, like now, I think that might be more dead in the water because it's one of those things that like I am serious as a heart attack whenever I say like Netanyahu has been wanting this his entire political career, right? So this is his moment. He knows that there's not going to be another shot to overthrow Iran after Trump's gone. So he's going to do, I mean, he'll fucking lie to us if he has to, more than he has already. So I don't know, man. I'm with Garrett and you, Nick. I just want this to stop. I just, I just know I don't want ground troops, and I just don't think Trump is willing to do, excuse me, concessions.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see. Only time's going to tell as far as the concessions. But we do. I will give you like if they're firing generals who are opposing ground troops, we're probably putting fucking ground troops. Like, has anyone checked on like are they serving steak at the barracks? Like,
Yeah, that'd be funny. Here's the hard part too, like because they'll say shit like Hegseth says this too. So they moved like it's like 2,000 Marines into ready position. So that means that if they wanted to take Karg Island or if they wanted to take so and so island, that they could. They have the troops there to deploy it. The problem is that whenever you have troops like that, if those generals or admirals think that those troops are at risk, they're going to do everything as they should in their power to make sure that those troops are safe. So if that means that they have to strike Iran or wherever to make sure that their troops are safe, they're going to do it. So in a weird way, like the troops aren't necessarily meant to be an offensive force, but they turn into one, right? So I don't know. I'm very skeptical of where we are now. And plus, you don't ask for a $1.5 trillion budget if
unless you intend to use it,
right. So
man,
Mm.
what a clusterfuck.
yeah,
That's what I was saying.
you think this will cost him in the midterms? Like, do you think this is a winner for him, Garrett?
No, no, this isn't a winner for him. I mean, so one foreign policy is very seldom winners, but I mean, so if you can get this resolved and then you actually start focusing on domestic problems that people have been bitching about for 6 fucking years, like you've got to get like that's really the thing. Like people vote with their wallets, and you've done nothing to increase the amount of money in their wallets.
You've actively taken money out of their wallets.
Yeah, yes, yes.
Yeah.
So, I mean, if you can't take a sudden and staunch reverse on that fucking policy, you're going to lose the midterms.
Well,
So, and that sucks because I want to see things like the SAVE Act. I want to see things like that matter to me in American politics. But you ain't gonna get none of them done with Democrats in office. Like,
no, yeah. I mean, it was always skeptical if they were going to be able to even pass the Save Act, right? And I mean, they're not going to be able to now. They don't have because right now Republicans are going to have to vote on this war at some point. I mean, listen,
yeah,
I'm glad we actually didn't talk about that much because, like, in theory, Trump needed Congress for this war because it's not a limited strike. There was no imminent threat, right? Like, I mean, Rubio said it himself, right? Like the reason we went to war is because Israel told us that they were going to strike Iran, and we thought that if Israel strikes Iran, they may bomb our troops in the region, so we had to just join them. And I was like, well, that is a weird, what an odd thing to say, you know?